Gauteng Education Department has dismissed NAPTOS's claim that teacher and pupil fights are a sign of systemic failures. Spokesperson Steve Mabona says parents and caregivers must play a role in disciplining their children, while teachers need to abide by the code of ethics. Now, a video has gone viral showing a violent fight between a teacher and a grade 9 pupil at Glenvista High School in Johannesburg. I'm going to try and explain to you, because obviously I've seen the video without the blurring of faces, which is a necessary step we need to take to protect the identities of the other learners and the teacher involved. But you can see the teacher at the start of the video is on the floor. This is the moment where he is pushed to the floor. Yeah. And then he gets up from the floor and he picks up a chair and then proceeds to try and hit this learner or learners with this chair. It's an incredibly disturbing video to have to watch. It's obviously a grown man essentially in an altercation with a child who is grade 9, I would think around the age of 14 or 15. Let's bring in Nomusa Cembi. So she's the spokesperson for the South African Democratic Teachers Union, SADTU. Nomusa, I'm sure you've seen the video as well. This should never be happening in our classes.
Yes, Michelle, thank you for the opportunity. Yes, we have seen the video and it is quite shocking. It is very sad that our schools are becoming unsafe places. Our schools are meant to be safe spaces for both the learners and the teachers, but increasingly we're seeing that schools are no more safe spaces for both the learners and teachers. We are very much aggrieved by what we saw in that video. Yeah, absolutely. And I imagine just anyone, any parent, anyone who has a child in school, anyone who has family that is a teacher. So let's unpack the story from both sides, Nomusa. At the start of that video, you can see that there is a fight, a physical fight taking place between this child and the teacher. From the position of the teacher who is pushed to the ground, and obviously we don't have any context, right? We don't know what happened before this altercation happened. We don't know who initiated it. All we have is this viral video. But from what you can imagine here, we would expect that the adult in the room, which is the teacher, would walk away from something like this before it gets to the stage where a learner could have been critically injured. I don't think that's overstating it. Trying to throw or hit a chair against someone could have serious consequences. Yes, in an ideal situation, the teacher as an adult should have walked out of, or should walk out of that situation. But we do not know what was happening at that time. As you say, we do not know the context. We saw just what we saw. We do not know how it started. You know, it's one teacher, and you can see as you watch the video, you can see that there was one learner who was trying to intervene, but towards the end, you could see that more learners were now coming towards the teacher, ganging towards the teacher. So it is hard to speculate because we do not know how it started. But ideally, as a professional, he should have walked out. Yeah. But teachers are also human beings too. You do not know how it started because at first there is, I think, a first clip where this learner is holding the teacher by his shirt, or he's wearing a golf shirt. I think he's pulling him by his golf shirt. Perhaps for one, the instinct would be defend yourself, fight and all. But one can say he is a teacher. He should have known better. But if you teachers since COVID-19. We have been calling for the department to do a lot towards teacher well-being, emotional teacher well-being, and teachers are suffering a lot, and there's very little that is being done by the department to look into the emotional well-being of teachers.
Let's talk about the pressures that teachers do face in the classroom, Nomusa. Outside of just the amount of work that teachers have on their plates, right, in terms of preparing for the various classes that they have, preparing for exams, the kinds of levels of marking that they need to do, for example. They often take home their marking, so they take their work home with them. And then there's the issue of discipline. Would you say the issue of discipline is a big one perhaps in some of our schools?
Yes, the issue of discipline is a big one. It has to do with how teachers manage classrooms. It's got to do with classroom management, and it differs. If schools have got bigger class sizes, then managing a class becomes quite a huge task. But if it is a smaller class, it is easier to manage a class, and we are seeing classes, more especially in township and rural schools, classes are overcrowded. Most teachers teach overcrowded classrooms, and if you can find that maybe one class will be won't be as overcrowded, but you'll find that a teacher will be teaching 4 classes, so we'll move from one class to the other and the other, and by the end of the day, it's quite a toll for that teacher.
So what's the way forward here? I mean, we always know, we have these conversations with various role players in education, and we know that education, that discipline is something that starts at home, right? We don't expect to send our children to school and then for them to be taught just the basics of discipline and respect by teachers, right? That ideally should take place in the home. Where do we go from here, Nomusa?
Yes, I fully agree that discipline starts from home, values start from home, and the teachers work on those, work on what has been from the foundation that has been set in the home. But what we are encountering is that the learners come to class not having those attributes with them, and then teachers have got to start afresh. So the issue is, we call on the department to do something, but we feel that as SADTU, we have even started a campaign where we are saying it shouldn't be just the department and the school only. The education of a child rests in communities, parents, teachers, learners, department, and all stakeholders in education coming together. We want to see more working together, especially even of parents coming to schools. We've just had SGB elections, and the SGB elections didn't. In some schools, they would not cooperate in the first meeting because parents are not coming to schools to be part and parcel of what is happening in schools. So we urge parents really to put in their lot and support their schools.
Yeah. It's such a difficult conversation because we know that children and learners they come in many instances from difficult households, right? Not all of us have the opportunity to grow up in what we've come to know as the ideal household. They come from very, very difficult communities. Parents are working night shifts, and perhaps that's why they're not making it to SGB meetings. Economically, our country is in a tough position where people are having to make tough decisions that affect their families often because they're trying to put food on the table. It's such a difficult discussion, and I don't expect you to say that ABC is the solution here, Nomusa. I think your point is well made, that it is a community project, this project of trying to teach our children the kinds of values that see them into adulthood.
Yes, indeed, it is true. The other day, in February, we had a learner coming to a school, pointing a gun at a teacher and shooting a teacher. And you wonder where this comes from, where this anger, where this violence comes from. That's why we are saying even communities should be part of this, because even if you grow in a community where violence is the norm, where carrying a gun is the norm, then you feel it is okay for you to bring that in schools. So that's why we are emphasizing that really it's now that everybody, communities also be part of, because what is happening in the community will manifest itself in the school.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a microcosm of what's happening in the community that unfolds in the school. Nomusa Cembi, thank you for your time. She's the spokesperson for SADTU, the South African Democratic Teachers Union. And an incredibly difficult story and a difficult video to watch, that altercation between that learner and that teacher. No easy solutions here.